What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today, and the road to predict all 136 FBS level college football teams now takes its next stop in University Park, Pennsylvania. Happy Valley has got to be happy about all the hype surrounding the Penn State Nittany Lions out of the Big Ten Conference entering 2025. My name is Nate Bope, otherwise known as Tailgate Nate. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and showing your support for the channel. If you would like to support it further because you like this video, you want to see more, hey, hit that subscribe button and you might as well ring the bell because since it's prediction season, enabling notifications will let you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. It'll ensure you don't miss the upload. I am delving into the professional world of sports media, so if you want to see everything I do as a sports media professional, please go give me a follow on Twitter or X and Instagram at TailgateNate29. You can even email me, tailgatenate29@gmail.com. Please also show your support by interacting with me or the channel in any other way that you can. I appreciate all of it. Thank you all so much. And now let's dive on in. The Penn State Nittany Lions in 2025. And just before I start, they are following the exact same blueprint that the last two national champions followed. And, well, obviously, they just won national championships because of it. And Penn State do the same for the third different Big Ten team. Well, you're about to find out what I think. How do we do preview predictions here on the channel? Well, we are going to go through a roster preview. The offense is going to be over here. The defense is going to be over here. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the 2025 Penn State football schedule and give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. Your head coach for Penn State in 2025, yet again, is James Franklin. He's still got a lot of people on his shoulders telling them he can't win the big one because of the playoff path last year. This is the team that is coming off a semifinal berth and is as talented as ever to get back into the semifinals and even get further in the college football playoff. Here we go. Let's kick things off by talking about the Penn State Nittany Lion offense. Your offensive coordinator will be Andy Kotelnicki. Before we do that, though, a couple numbers down below I want to talk to you about. There is some returning production numbers that include a certain percentage of the stats that transfers are going to be bringing into this program, as well as your recruiting and your portal ranks according to 24/7 Sports for the class of 2025. You'll notice that offensive returning production number. It is a big reason as to why Penn State is, again, following that blueprint that Michigan did in 2023 and Ohio State did last season. They both won national championships because of it, because they had a ton of pieces come back and they added where they needed to in the transfer portal. We'll get to that latter part in a minute, but we first have to talk about Drew Aller. He is back again, and he got unlocked in year two of this system, or I should say just year two of being a Penn State Nittany Lion. 3,327 yards, 24 touchdowns and 8 picks, 66.5% completion percentage. Year three should be legendary. Now, what you don't see in that stat line is the fact that Drew Aller's biggest question from 2023 to 2024 was that deep ball. He can't throw the deep ball. Can he throw the deep ball? We don't know. We haven't seen it. You saw it last year. Not necessarily to its fullest extent. His longest touchdown pass was 59 yards, but we've seen flashes of it, and we know that it's there. And I have a good feeling that the deep ball is going to be as good as it's ever been for Drew Aller here in 2025, but more on that later. Right now, we got to really quickly touch on this offensive backfield. Nick Singleton, Katron Allen. Both of them were 1,000-yard rushers last year. They combined for 20 touchdowns, and they are going to be coming back. That's going to be one of America's best backfield duos, if not the best backfield duo in the entire country. Much like what Ohio State had last year, they returned Travion Henderson, added Quinshon Judkins, except these two guys are all within Penn State's system. Singleton and Allen both coming back, and those are both huge getbacks for this Penn State offense. Now, your top receiver is going to hit the portal for the second straight year. 2023, that was Keandre Lambert-Smith. Again, he went over to Auburn. Now, this year, it is Harrison Wallace. He has since transferred out over to a different program as well. He is going to be going over to Ole Miss to add to that wide receiver room over there. You also are going to lose your Swiss Army utility knife tight end in Tyler Warren. He is off to Indianapolis. But strictly talking about the wide receiver room here, it has been a very, very common practice to say that Penn State doesn't have talent that can stretch the field. It doesn't have talent that can stretch a secondary out and be able to run a full spread offense. Now they do. They got three portal pieces that are probably going to end up being their top three leading receivers this year, as some extra pieces did hit the portal other than Harrison Wallace. Omari Evans was another big one in that as well. Listen to these stats from these three players. Kyron Hudson, he's going to be coming over from USC. We know the potential is there. The stat line is not super fantastic. 38 catches, 462 yards, and 3 touchdowns, but he is an absolutely dynamic weapon. I love that pickup. Trevor Pena, he's going to come over from Syracuse. He was an all-ACC performer last year, 84 catches, 941 yards, and 9 touchdowns in a very dynamic Syracuse offense last season. But the one whose name I think you need to know the most, Kyron Hudson and Trevor Pena, are going to be two of the lead receivers on this team. There's no question about it. Learn the name Devontae Ross. He was a 1,000-yard receiver over at Troy and just had an absolutely fantastic campaign. To get more specific with the stats, 76 catches, 1,043 yards, and 11 touchdowns, and that included a 98-yard touchdown last year. I think Devontae Ross is one of the most slept-on transfers in America. I think he's an absolutely exceptional player, and again, he is known for his deep threat, right? As is Trevor Pena. He is known to be able to stretch the field. Devontae Ross, 98-yard touchdown. That's a guy who can stretch the field. Penn State finally has weapons who are proven and able to stretch a defense out. That is going to pay so many dividends here in 2025, especially with a returning quarterback with a lot of experience in this system, with the best backfield in the country. Now, replacing that tight end in Tyler Warren, good luck. Tyler Warren was, again, that utility knife, a 12,000-yard receiver, or a 1,200-yard, 12,000 would be absolutely insane, 1,200-yard receiver for this team last year, led that category, led in catches with over 100, was one of the top in the nation with that, 8 touchdowns for him. They also like to give it to him fairly often in the run game, average 8.4 yards per carry. Luke Reynolds and Khalil Dinkins are going to, battle for time and try to make up that production, but I don't think you need that production from your tight end room this year because of what you have transferring in as a wide receiver group. Sal Wormley is going to be leaving this offensive line. That's a pretty notable loss, but the Nittany Lions have 6 guys with at least 6 career starts. Very, very deep offensive line room. They're going to have a ton of talent there, and the trenches are going to be a strength again for Penn State. Quite simply put, with Jim Knowles coming in, now we're switching on over to the defensive side of things. With Jim Knowles coming in, you saw what he built at Ohio State, and obviously it helps that he has a ring on his finger coming in here to University Park. Defense is only going to be more dangerous. What Jim Knowles brings to this defense is a guy who's able to disguise a ton of blitzes and a guy who just brings that intensity and loves the defensive side of the game. He is a wizard, just truly a defensive wizard. Ohio State fans got to witness that firsthand. This defense is going to be absolutely lethal for Penn State. They already were really good with Tom Allen. I think you're going to see this defense get taken up to the next peg with Jim Knowles here. Again, that ability to disguise blitzes being the biggest reason why I think this Penn State defense is going to be one of, if not the country's best in 2025. You did lose 2 guys, though, in which you just can't overstate how important they are. Abdul Carter and Kobe King's losses can't be overstated because this is what they did for this team last year. Kobe King out of the linebacking room, 97 tackles. That was second on the team and 3 sacks last year. Abdul Carter, 4th leading tackler, 68 tackles, 12 sacks, also ticked in with 4 passes defended, a lot of balls batted down at the line, forced 2 fumbles for this team last year. Again, you just can't overstate how important those 2 guys were to what this defense was able to do last season. However, again, like I just said, Knowles' ability to disguise blitzes, I think it's going to leave this team off very well. When you want to go ahead and talk about as far as the defensive line, Danny Dennis Sutton, Zane Durant, they're both going to be coming back, and then Tony Rojas and Dominic DeLuca, they are going to be coming back to lead the linebacker room. Tony Rojas did tack on 3 interceptions as well as being a top 5 tackler for you last season. Danny Dennis Sutton was right behind Abdul Carter, second in sacks. He had 8.5 sacks. Zane Durant, a very good guy in the defensive front interior. And then when you want to talk about Dominic DeLuca there as well, he had 40 tackles and again 3 picks to tie him there with Tony Rojas, as well as a couple other members of the secondary we're about to talk about here. So even though you do lose your 2 most important players in that defensive front, you're going to be very, very well off. Again, Dennis Sutton and Durant are dogs. Rojas and DeLuca are very, very good linebackers. I love how this front 7 is shaping up here for Penn State, as well as some other names you could throw into that hat as well. You are going to be losing your leading tackler, Jaden Reed. He is gone out of this defensive back room, playing safety for you. 98 tackles, 2.5 sacks. Again, tied for that team lead there with 3 interceptions. However, you're going to get the 4th guy that had 3 picks for this defense last year, and Zakee Wheatley. He's coming back. He was your 3rd leading tackler last year. Did tack on a sack to that number as well. A.J. Harris led the team, or I should say was second, tied for second on the team in passes defended. You're going to get Zion Tracy coming back to this team as well. He had 2 picks last year. And then you get a massive impact transfer. King Mack is going to be coming over from Alabama to only add to the talent that Penn State is returning. He definitely is going to be filling in for that spot there for Jaden Reed. You also have DeJuan Lane in that exact same position too, as well as just many other great guys on this defensive front. I didn't even mention Caleb Artis, Zerai Fisher. You could mention even some of the backup linebackers like Keon Wiley. It's a very, very, very deep defense. And again, I think it's only going to get more dangerous with Jim Knowles at the helm, mainly because of that thing I've said quite a bit throughout this video so far. The special teams unit, because kickers are people too, they're going to run it back. They're all the same. So overall, you look at this Penn State team, look, as long as Allard takes another big step forward in 2025, which he should, it means developing that deep ball. He's got the weapons to be able to do it now. I think it's going to be very fruitful. Singleton and Allen might be America's best backfield. The offensive line is still going to hit hard. The defense is going to hit hard. The secondary is going to be ball hawking. The special teams unit, not a concern there. It's really, really hard to find a hole with this Penn State team, and it's why a lot of people are picking them to win the whole thing in 2025. Right on over here is your Penn State 2025 football schedule. But before we get on into predicting that, couple numbers I want to make you aware of down below me. No, I am not telling you to place your money on any of these numbers down below, but these numbers are brought to you by FanDuel. Again, they are as of recording this video and subject to change. I gotta start saying that in every video that I post. I've been skipping a couple, but again, those numbers are subject to change. They are as of recording this video, and it just gives you a pretty decent framework on what the odds makers think Penn State is going to do here in 2025. Well, that plus 250 odds to win the conference there is the second in the Big Ten, only behind Ohio State. And as far as your national championship odds, Penn State is the 4th odds-on betting favorite to win the national title. Again, when you follow that blueprint that is, had led to 2 national champions, you're doing something right with that win total at 10.5. Let me tell you what I think Penn State is going to do this year. Well, I can tell you right off the bat, those first 3 games before the bye week are just not going to be any problem. They will easily beat Nevada. They're going to easily beat FIU, and they're easily going to beat Villanova as well. Apologies for the technical difficulties. All right, there you go. They're going to beat Nevada. They're going to beat FIU. They are going to beat Villanova there as well. So 1, 2, 3 wins to kick off 2025, and very nice. It's not a hard non-conference. They should be able to run through it, get them set for conference play. And you even have an extra week to prepare because your first bye week, yes, every team gets 2 this year, is going to come before the whiteout game. Yes, the whiteout game is this early. It is against the Oregon Ducks. Perfect scenario for a whiteout. The biggest thing that Penn State has really struggled with under the James Franklin era is they have really struggled with winning these matchup even games where they are just as talented or less talented than their opponent. they have never been able to really get over that hump and be able to consistently win those games. Maybe one or two here and there, depending on what you consider as equally as talented. This is a massive opportunity for Penn State to come out and do it, and it got even more massive with the unfortunate news that Evan Stewart is now going to be down for quite a while with an injury. He is expected to miss the entirety of the season at worst, which is devastating for Oregon. They're going to have to break in some really young pieces. Now, Gary Bryant coming back does help, but you're definitely going to have to break in to Carrion Moore, a freshman there. However, Dante Moore at quarterback, I think is going to thrive in this Dan Lanning system. Mekhi Hughes is a transfer running back coming over from Tulane. That was fantastic with the Green Wave and should perform equally as well here against with the Oregon Ducks. And the defense, right? You just continue to add up and bulk up that defensive front. Mateo Uyunglele, Bear Alexander transferring in, Tayum Tuioti, Bryce Betcher, Devin Jackson. You're going to have guys like Theron Johnson, Dylan Theineman, all transferring in to play in that secondary. It is still a very, very good Oregon team. But I think without that deep threat of Evan Stewart to really be able to stretch out this Penn State defense, which is already going to be hard enough considering what they have on this defense as a whole, but especially in that secondary, coupled with the fact that this is the whiteout game and Oregon has just not seen an environment like this in Big Ten play yet. They didn't see one like it last year. This is going to be the toughest Big Ten environment that they have had to play in, and I think Oregon is going to suffer because of it. Penn State's going to win this game, y'all, and that is a massive step in the right direction for this Nittany Lion program. I can't even begin to express to you how huge that is going to feel for James Franklin and everyone involved for this Penn State Nittany Lion team, and that includes you, the fans out there. UCLA is up next, so you got two West Coast teams back-to-back, and, I mean, UCLA is interesting to talk about because Nico Iamaleava is coming in. You got some interesting pieces coming into the skill position room as well as the defensive secondary through the transfer portal, but they're just nowhere near up to the Nittany Lions level. I think they will falter based off the Nittany Lions' physicality. And UCLA will fall to Penn State. Penn State should also easily be able to get past the Northwestern Wildcats. Then Penn State's got to go on the road against Iowa, and this is a really, really, really important, really 5-game stretch here, but we'll go ahead and call it back-to-back, if not 3-game stretch. Penn State at Iowa is going to be a very fascinating game. Again, we know how well Iowa plays at home. We know how good this defense is, and they're going to be one of the most experienced units in the country yet again. Just everybody is either a junior, senior, or grad student that will be starting on this defense. That's massive for Kirk Ferentz's group. And their quarterback play should take a tick up in the right direction this year. Mark Gronowski Mark Gronowski. My apologies to the Gronkowski family. Mark Gronowski is transferring over from South Dakota State, where he won FCS titles. Iowa's quarterback play is going to get immensely better here. I just don't think they have the weapons on the outside to fully utilize what Gronowski can do, and their running back room is, going to be good. It's not going to be as good as it has been in the past with guys like Caleb Johnson, and, you can just keep listing off the names there. I think Penn State's going to come on the road here, pick up this win at Iowa before their second bye week, because this is the one. Look, the Oregon game, as important as it is, this is the one that every Penn State fan is circling. Ohio State feels vulnerable this year, but by this point, look, Julian Sain is going to be broken in. The new defensive front's going to be broken in. The offensive line transfer should fit in nicely, and you still got the best 2 players on both sides of the ball. You have Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver, Caleb Downs at safety, and Penn State, other than 2016 in the blocked field goal return, they have really struggled against this Ohio State program in a ton of close losses, and I think this is going to end up being another one of those. Just going on the road, playing in that environment against a team of that caliber. Look, the secondary is going to be really good. They weren't able to shut down Jeremiah Smith last year, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it again this year. And also Caleb Downs, and yes, Ohio State does lose Denzel Burke, some safety players back there as well. I think that secondary is going to be able to limit, maybe not totally shut down, but limit what Penn State is going to be able to do as far as trying to stretch the field. Ohio State's going to to game plan for that. Julian Sayin, I think, is going to have a phenomenal season headlining that team at the quarterback position, and Ohio State will beat Penn State, handing the Nittany Lions their first loss of 2025. But I think Penn State's going to be able to win out from here. Little spoilers, I know. Indiana football is not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, but they're just simply not as talented as Penn State. That being said, watch out for this one. If Penn State gets complacent, this one can get interesting. Fernando Mendoza is coming in at quarterback from Cal. He's a guy that I like a lot. Your entire wide receiver room is intact, and a lot of your better defensive players do return for the Indiana Hoosiers. I think Penn State's more talented. They should win this one, especially because Indiana's breaking in a lot of new offensive linemen. But if they get complacent to the Nittany Lions, watch out. That one can be dangerous. At Michigan State, I don't think should be much of a problem for this Nittany Lion team. I do think Michigan State's going to get a lot better this year, again, with another year of Aiden Childs and transfers just coming in from all different angles. Again, Penn State is just the more talented team. Nebraska, again, even though this one's at home, watch out for this one. If Penn State gets complacent, much like the game against Indiana, while I think it might be a little bit of a long shot for Nebraska to win, they added some really big wide receiver transfers to pair with Dylan Raiola. Emmett Johnson's going to be coming back, and the defense, I think, is still going to be really good. They could post one of the best secondaries that the Big Ten has this year. But again, I don't think they have enough talent to get past Penn State, and neither does Rutgers, meaning Penn State finishes 11-1, 8-1 in conference, that lone loss to Ohio State. I don't think there are that many landmarks on this schedule for Penn State's floor to really be that low. I have a really darn good feeling that this Penn State team, they're probably going to hiccup once. You know, they have their fair share of tough games, but the majority of them are at home. Again, I don't think Iowa has all the weapons that they usually do, or at least should have, in order to exploit what Mark Gronowski can do at quarterback. And then, you know, apart from that one game on the road in the shoe, you have Oregon at home, you have Indiana at home, you have Nebraska at home, and your road games, apart from that one going into the shoe and maybe that game in Kinnick, aren't necessarily all that challenging, apart from the fact that you go away from home 5 times this year. You get the first 4 games at home. You really get to settle in here to your system, get everyone acclimated with each other on the football field again. You just got so much returning talent here for Penn State. I think this is going to be one of the nation's best teams. 11-1 is where I sit them for 2025. That'll do it for this video. Thank you once again for supporting the channel. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder, and I will see you in the next prediction video. Goodbye.